So we are almost done with the HTML and CSS part here. We just have to finalize the CSS today. And we're going to be doing that using the layouts properties of CSS. So obviously everything looks the way it needs to look currently, but the only difference here being the layout. So everything here is structured while everything there in the actual design currently is unstructured. So we're going to be doing that. So how are we going to start doing that? First of all, we just want to collapse everything. And here in the styles, so in the styles folder, I want to create a new folder. I want to call it layout actually. So then I want to create two files, style.css. And initially, we're just going to be starting by working on the navbar. So I'm just going to create one for the navbar.css. Great. So in the style of CSS, we want to go ahead and import the navbar.css. Great. So we are already importing that here, and we want to go to the primary style of CSS file. And we want to do here is we want to go down and just import from the layout slash style.css. Now, after saving it, we can now close this. And let's go back here for the navbar and let's start. First of all, we want to select the navbar. And actually, let's start with the identity. So let's just say .navbar.identity. And let's go to our HTML page to set this up. And it's taking quite a long time for some reason, but we are here. So I want to select everything here that is in the navbar from the link to the made by 12 natural A group 6. So I want to select that, Ctrl+Shift+P on my keyboard and wrap with abbreviation. This is a quick trick in VS Code where you can just wrap some part of your code with another element. So I'm going to be using the navbar element here with the navbar class. So this navbar element is one of those semantic elements which we have discussed about. So at this point, we need an identity here. So let's break this into a couple of parts here. I just like to make this as structured as possible. And I'm going to give this class, I'm going to call this identity. Identity because it has both the image and the brand name. Identity. So here for the identity, what we want to do is we want to use display flex align items center. So the display flex part will just make sure that the content is side by side, and this will aligning them center to each other. After that, we want to provide a bit of a gap around 8 pixels. Great, so that's all we want to do, and we want to now go back to our page here, and you can see now it is properly structured. Now we want to go back one up to the navbar, and we want to do the same thing. We want to put display flex, then align items here, align items center, and here we want to do justify content space between. The reason we want to do this is to make sure that the content takes each side individually. So one of the contents will be on the left side and the other will be on the right side. So now let's save this and apply a 16 pixel padding. Gap. Okay, the primary reason we need a gap here is as the screen gets closer and closer, smaller and smaller, the content will get closer and closer to each other, and we still want a fallback gap here just to make it work properly, so that the content doesn't swoosh. So you can see now it becomes side by side. Now we need some bit of spacing on the left and right, and for this we're actually going to be creating our utils CSS folder here, and inside of it I'm just going to create the style.css and a layout utils.css for this file will house all the styling for utility styling for the layout, and the primary one here will be the wrapper, and this will be a bit complicated. Let's just go through it. So min 100 view widths minus 2 rem minus 32 pixels, comma 1236 pixels. Okay, so what is this? We are basically saying that the width of any container with the wrapper class should be the minimum value of either 100 view widths minus 32 pixels. 32 pixels is 16 pixels from the right and the left. So, or it should be 1236 pixels. So on larger screen sizes, this will apply. But on smaller screen sizes, since the view widths will be very small, this will apply. And you will see how this works in just a moment here. Just have to say margin inline. Also, just to make sure that the content is horizontally centered. So now if we go here, we did not apply it, so that really won't work. We just have to first import it here. Import layouts.css. And go here and actually we have to include it here. So add import details/style.css. Okay, great. So now we can go to primary style here. And since we already included it, we can go to the index.html and go here and apply the wrapper class, wrapper. And if we go here now, you should see that this content got pushed from the left and right by 16 pixels. And it will be more obvious when we go like this here and we make it super large. So at some point it will not expand. It will stay at the maximum which it could go, which is 1236 pixels. Great. So this is what we want. The final thing we want to do here for the navbar is just apply some padding. So padding block here would be 16 pixels, right? So 16 pixels from the top and bottom. That's what block means. So we got some breathing room right here, and this is exactly what we want. Now we can create another file in the layout folder called main.css. So this will house our main content. So draws main. Now let's just close off the navbar for now, and let's go to the index.html page. And here the main is it includes the h1, the p, and the form together with the result display. So Control-Shift-P, wrap is abbreviation. I'm going to call this main.main. So the main element is just housing the primary content of our website, which is a very important element. Okay. So we want to style the headline first of all. So let's go here. Main.headline here. We want to start by saying text. Okay. We want to start by saying margin inline. Inline auto. Okay, I can't type today for some reason. Margin inline auto here. Ooh, okay. Okay, it's not being included here, so that's the problem. And we want to say import main.css, right? So you can now go back and you can see that it is now properly centered. One thing we forgot here for the navbar is to give it some breathing room. So I'm just gonna go back to the navbar and just apply some padding. Top should be 16 pixels, but padding bottom, I would like it to be a bit more, so around 32 pixels. That's the only change I'm gonna make. Now looking at this, we should have a bit more of a breathing room right here. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's it for the navbar. Now we want to do the same thing for the content right here, as you can see, but it is currently it is full width and we want to change that. So let's go back to appearance, main, and the sub headline here. We should give it some properties here. The first thing we want to do is we want to say text line center. That's the first thing we want to do, and margin, not margin, we actually want to make its max width would be around 24 characters. So now we get it to be cut at this point, which is exactly what we want. So we can now go back to the main.css and we want to say .main.subheadline, and let's just do a margin inline also. Okay, very good here. So okay, it is now at the center, but we want to have extra bit of spacing between these two elements since it is a bit cluttered right here. And for this, I'm gonna do margin bottom to be 16 pixels. So if we go back, we have a bit of breathing room right here, which is perfect, and our website is coming along quite nicely. Now we want to move to the form, so let's just create a new file, form.css, and let's go here and just import form.css. Now let's kind of close this out. Actually, we need the main for one more thing. We want to have a bit of spacing between the form and the subheadline here. So we want to do around margin bottom of around 32 pixels. Okay, so we have some breathing room, as you can see. So we can now close this off, and since we have already included the form.css in the style, we can just move here. Okay. For now, we already have this contained inside of the form, so we can just go directly into the inputs, and we have 3 inputs: the select and the 2 input numbers here. So we want to Control-Shift-P again, wrap with our application, and we want to say inputs for this. We can now put this inside of a div since there isn't really any semantic tag for it. So we want to start by saying .form.inputs. We want to say display flex to put them side by side, and we want to give them a gap of 16 pixels. But before that, we want to make sure that they are align items stretch. This stretch will basically mean that everybody will have the height of the biggest element. And we also want to say justify contents center, just to center them instead of just using margin inline also. Okay, great. So you can see how everything just took place right here. Perfect. Okay. I have a feeling though that the spacing here inside of the subheadline is a bit too much. I'm just going to decrease this to around 24 pixels, which I think it was actually the original. Yeah, so this was the proper one. Now we have this button here. Before we even think about that button, we want to make sure that this is responsive. So we're just going to be saying okay, so we'll be saying here flex wrap, meaning if you don't have the space to accommodate 3 elements, you should wrap. Okay, next up, we want to go to the appearance and go back to the form, and for the number inputs and select inputs, we want to make sure that the min width, actually the minimum width it could go is fit content. So we don't want it to struggle to keep the layout. If there isn't any space for it when we go down, just wrap. Okay. Great. Maybe we should decrease the 16 pixels. It is fine though. It is fine. Yeah, it is fine. Obviously, this couldn't be more than 31, and this should be like 2000. Okay. Now this is a good format, right? So we see how this will work and look when it is over. Now let's go to the button here, dot form. I believe it's dot form dot CTA, and the only thing we want to do is just say margin inline also, meaning we just center it on the horizontal. Okay, it is not being centered on the horizontal. Let's see. Are we selecting it properly? Dot form dot CTA. Okay, this is now working obviously because buttons are actually inline elements. So let's make sure that this is display block here. So now the margin would work, and here we have it properly working. Now we need extra space in between here, and let me just check this out since I forgot, and it is around 16 pixels. Okay, so now we will go to the inputs and just say margin bottom here, 16 pixels. And if we go back, you can see it is properly styled. Now, as you go up and down, you can see it always works as it should. So this is what we call a responsive design. Now, not much is left. First, let's work on this part. And let's go, and actually I want to test out some different sides, right? So why not just change this to be, let's just change this to this, and okay, yeah, so this also works. One thing I think we made a mistake with is, here let's go to the main appearance. Actually the result display, and the images here, we should not be styling the heights, rather it should probably be the width. So the width here, for example, is around 177. So I'm gonna go a good size for this, I believe, would be around 152, which is a multiple of, actually this should be 4 maybe. I'm forgetting the numbers. Around 64, 63, 62. Okay, 162 was the number here. So you don't really need to know where the number comes from. Just know, okay, this 62 should be here. We should decrease this to be around 96. Okay, so now this is nice and big, and when we decrease it, it is effectively decreased. Okay. Obviously, we have to make sure that this size is proportional to all of our elements. And currently for this one, it is. But if we change it like to the previous one, and we see it is big, quite bigger, but I think it has a good bit of size to it. So yeah, it is good. Maybe the difference is a bit too much, but that has to do with the actual images, and not something that you can actually work with. So let's actually just try to do it the same way it was before. So let's see how it works. So this is a bit smaller, and I think this was the one here, and this is too small. So okay, we can do here is we can increase this. So from 64, I'm going to go around 96, and actually 72, and from 72, from 96, I'm going to go around 128. Okay. This is nice here. Maybe we can increase this to be 96. Okay. So let's check out for the other sign again. I just want to make sure this works for all the signs. Okay, now it is a bit considerably bigger, but I think at this point we have found a good middle ground. Okay, let's continue. We want to now create a layout for results display.css, and we want to include it, right? So we want to do import result display. Okay. Now let's go to the index.html, and we already have this inside of a div, which makes our lives a whole lot easier. First thing we want to do is we want to say max width. Actually, we want to just say width, fit content. Okay, great. Then we want to go here and we have the result info, and we want to go to result display in the appearance. Result info, max width. I think this should cut off around February, so it should be around 16 ch. Okay, that's too low. Let's go around 24 ch. Let's go 28. 32. Okay, 32 probably is the number. Okay, great. We also want this to be text align center here, so we can close this off and we can see how it looks. Great. So the final thing we want to do here is in the result display. We want to do, first of all, we want to say display flex, and we want to say align items center, and we want to say margin inline. Also, just making everything centered here. Okay, when we do display flex, you can see it's put them side by side, and this is not what we want actually. We want, as you can see in the original design, we want it to be stacked. So we can do here is we can do flex direction, and if we do columns, now it will appear inside of one column, so it will be top down. Great. So we need extra spacing in between these elements, so it should be around 32 pixels. I will do 24 pixels just since I believe it will translate better into the browser. I'm going to do 24 not ch 24 pixels here. Great. Maybe 32 pixels was the right choice. Okay, yeah, it was. Also we need some spacing here, so how much is that first of all? Okay, 64 pixels. That should translate to around 48 pixels here. You don't really need to know the translation. I did not make it consciously for the browser, so that's why I have to tweak some of the numbers. But if you're working with a designer, they should provide you with the proper sizes. I just made the design in a hurry, so it really doesn't have the proper sizes here. The way we have to do it is in the form, I believe. So the form should push this down with a margin bottom of around 48 pixels. Okay, great. Now, very nice. We have our layouts almost fully complete. All that is left to do is just select this piece of contents right here, the image, and where should we actually style the image? Which is a good question. First of all, let's actually go back to the index.html, go to the main, and just apply the wrapper here. So everything should be wrapped around the center. Also, I don't believe the navbar is providing enough separation, so I'm just going to go padding bottom around. Let's increase this to around 48 pixels. Okay, 48 pixels, maybe 64 even. Let's just look at how, okay, let's look at this. Okay, now this is more like it. So, obviously my browser screen is a bit too small, so not everything is coming up and I have to scroll. But I think our layout is completely done. We just have to finish with this image. So for the image, I'm gonna go create a general CSS generals actually. So general styling here. Here, did we do it in the main? Okay, so we should probably do it inside of the main as well here. And let's go inside of the main, even though it is not technically in the main class. So we can do here is we can do here here was this home accent? Let's just go back and copy it from there. It was home accent img. Let's just copy it. And let's do position should be absolute. And it should be at the bottom. So let's just say bottom 0. And let's see how this works. Okay, it is now overlapping a bit too much. It is creating a good clouding effect. But let's try, for example, to make it z index -9, meaning actually -999. So meaning it is at the very back of everything. So now we can see. Okay, we wanted to also scroll down. So maybe we can do position sticky. Great. Okay. That is working, but it's creating a bit too much space right here. Let's just check out the problem. So the navbar, the main, then the image. Okay. What if we make it position static here instead of sticky? Static. Okay, that doesn't quite work. We should probably have done it in a way that is in the background. Okay, so that will be a bit difficult to do. Let's try to fix that. So the way I should have done this, I should have imported this as the background. Okay. Okay, let's do for now. Position fixed maybe. Let's do that. Okay, yeah, position fixed actually works. I was afraid I should change many things in the CSS to accommodate this, but hopefully this works. Okay, now the final thing here is I want to go to the display results, and here the display results in the HTML, this is inside of the main. So actually I want to go to the main layout, and I want to say here main. Actually, let's go up. Dot main margin bottom, and we have 32 pixels just to get this off of the ground, just to create some additional spacing right here. Great. So now obviously this doesn't work. Let's refresh it and see. It doesn't work actually. If we just include like 2 February 2012, for example, zero sign, and just refresh it. It doesn't work. So next time, you're just going to be starting on the JavaScript, and we're going to making this website actually come to life here and make it fully functional. So this was all for the CSS. We obviously have to finish by doing git add all, git commit with a message here, finished CSS, and git push. Okay, thanks for watching. This was all for the CSS. It looks a bit complicated, but I really hope you learned so much. At least I hope you learned one thing from all of this. Again, thanks for watching. Next time we're going to be continuing on the JavaScript. And until next time, goodbye.